They will start a partial day each year, whatever they want, so 4th of July. It's like the actual location down. And it will entail that's true, that's. Yeah. What's your percentage? 3 to 4%. Yeah. Whatever.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Call this meeting order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Seeley,
Here.
Sarah Anderson, here. Pat Beckett,
Here. Yeah.
Will Wilkie,
Here.
Larry Rohr,
Here.
Art Schott,
Yes.
Mike
Here.
Egan.
Here.
All right. Agenda. We would like to modify the agenda just slightly.
Yeah, I'd like to add under just department head, city administrator, put Elaine and I down for just an update on the move to city hall move.
Under discussion items.
Department head.
Department head. Got it.
Yeah, we'd like to have an executive session also at the very end for legal
Executive session legal added to the end. So
after payment of bills.
got it. Okay, so Elaine and Jerry will talk city move under department head and city administrator reports. We will add an executive session for legal after payment of bills and before adjournment. Would anyone like to approve the amended agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Shot second.
Motion and second on the table to approve the amended agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Agenda's been adopted. Minutes from August 19, 2024. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from Monday, August 19, 2024. Second.
Motion and second on the table to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Let the minutes be reflected as approved. Business to be heard. Jane, I know we've got you factored in for department heads. Chief Shirt, you're on the docket. Do you have anything specific or just here for? Did you want, are you on the agenda just to support some of the discussion?
Yeah, I'm just here for like the new business, some of the new business, Banner's proposal,
Okay.
and I'll be looking after that.
All right. So, and Anita, you're good to go? No. Okay. No visitors to be heard. We'll move on to committee and mayor reports. The first item that I'd like to discuss this evening is the construction and use of a community-wide, consolidated community-wide events calendar. Elaine and Jerry have been helpful in allowing me to work with both Tony Larvick from Beresford, who does some of the technical work behind the scenes on our city's website, and then also Rachel. And Rachel does some of the day-to-day management within the office to help keep the website up to date, the content specifically. They both allowed me to build out a replica, or excuse me, a demo that would add an additional tab to our existing city website. That would be the calendar tab. And to use that calendar, to put something on that calendar, we would use the policy that's embedded within the minutes that Jerry sent out for the meeting. I'd like to hear anybody's comments on how they see that playing out and the overall benefit, any potential detractors. One of the things I want to be cognizant of is I don't want to encumber, I don't want Rachel's time to go out the window. So one of the reasons to put a policy in place is that it provides some guardrails so that we wouldn't be entertaining requests on an everyday or every minute basis. But these would be regular and recurring events, the kinds of things that would allow us to see, the vets and the American Legion want to have some of their fundraisers that they put in the paper, but don't necessarily blast on social media, don't hit some of the other communication channels. This community-wide events calendar would remind people that some of those events are happening. There's a reading event at the library, if law enforcement's going to do a public safety event, fire, etc., those are the kinds of things that we would be able to support.
On the sports events, were you thinking consolidation of the school's calendar for all the sports events and all the baseball and softball? It's gonna be
6,000 things. Yeah, we wouldn't want to replicate the school's calendar. The district does do a good job of maintaining a calendar on the school's website, the district website. If there are high-level events where there's a community engagement focus, for instance, the fire department is going to continue to carry through with some of the celebration of the 125th anniversary at a home football game, and I believe that's been pushed to October. But that would be one where we would highlight a varsity football game because of the fact that there's probably a community benefit on the front end of that, plus there's some public recognition of folks from the city.
So you're not envisioning having every youth baseball and softball league with?
Not every 8 and under baseball game, no.
Yeah, okay.
Because
So as I said, that could take quite a bit of time.
You could probably link to the school calendar, just have a link at the bottom that says, for school events, see this link.
Yeah, again, I think because they're in that school calendar on a relatively, so Owen Ronaldo having the job that he does and trying to manage that very vast responsibility. A couple of things I think the community calendar would do is it would promote community engagement. It's going to enhance communication, so that way people across the Beresford, they understand there's different things going on. If there's opportunities to support local businesses, especially in light of the fact that the chamber is they're in process of revitalizing, I think that would be a good thing. Community identity, just if there are things we know with old-fashioned days, the earlier we put that on the calendar, the better, because people are able to see some of the ideas going on. Visitors, if there's things that people might be interested in, Lyndon Knutson's going to show off his car collection. That would be something that, again, I'm not saying that's a private entity there, but there may be other activities that we can get put on there. It would also help with volunteerism. We know that that's a very critical role in our community, is making sure that we have an adequate number of volunteers for some of the different things that go on. Sound good?
Good to me.
No. Do we, in order to modify the city's website, do we need a motion, a vote?
I don't think so. I mean, we just created that on our own, so.
Yeah, but doesn't SDML, CCOG, some of the other agencies that provide direction, they don't necessarily have a blanket template. But I think anything we do to promote better communication and forward thinking, I think it's a good thing. So
I think just with the direction that you guys provide, that's all we actually need, so.
okay. As for the policy, is there a standard format for policies, and would this need to be adapted for citywide policy, or would this be something we would just lean on from the office perspective?
It's up to you guys if you want to adopt a formal policy on it.
Probably provide you guys with some cover. People are saying, why aren't you doing this? Because the council's policy says it's limited to these items or whatever.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, and I think as I was talking to some of the folks in town that are on the working end of receiving requests for sponsorship, I do know that some of our local businesses do get hammered at certain times of year for sponsors, and they have, each business has crafted their own set of guidelines, just in order to be able to say, we'll support this, but maybe perhaps we won't support this, and this would be another example where this policy would help, so.
Don't you have your own committee? I recommend maybe having the mayor's committee discuss with you, then you could discuss with Freeburg and Jerry and Elaine, and then bring it to the council. I think we shouldn't have any trouble at all. I mean, to get a little more input, like you said, and then like Jerry said, this is the policy. This way you got your committee support, which is three, then you got Jerry, Elaine, you got Freeburg, your advisors, and maybe a police chief. You should be pretty well set. I mean, that's my recommendation anyways.
We can put it on, if you, should take action tonight, or we can put it on the next agenda if we want to. That gives you guys more time to look at, and if there's any other ideas that might come up between now and then, we can address them. But going forward, we'll put this on the next agenda for consideration for adoption, so.
Okay. Yeah, the policy's embedded in the information we sent, so just take a quick read, and that way for the next meeting we can go and approve that policy. So. All right. Thanks. Any further discussion, questions? Next item on the agenda, Department Head and City Administrator reports, Chief Shirk.
Sweet. Milford is building our building over there, behind the phone department. Austin has, everything that Austin has is a budgeted item. Mine is unbudgeted for this year. Austin is planning on doing the concrete this year, so we got a quote from AMC Concrete. Just from a financial standpoint, really doesn't make sense to finish half of it and leave half of it unfinished, so he got a quote for my side of it. From AMC Concrete, the quote is $8,500. He also tried to get a quote from Milford, the one who built the building. He hasn't seen that quote back yet, unless you've seen it, Elaine. I have not seen it. So what I'm asking the council for tonight is to approve the $8,500, and that'll do the cement around my portion in conjunction with Austin's portion. And there's a little chunk of the sidewalk there that is cracked, and Alex basically said in order to make the water flow better, he goes, it'd probably be best if we just take that chunk of sidewalk out and just replace it. So right now it's just kind of a slop hole back there. So what I'm asking for is $8,500, or if Milford comes in under that, then I would have to talk with Austin and see if we, go with the lowest bid on it. So Milford did a pretty good job on the concrete that he laid for the foundation, but he just hasn't gotten back to us yet.
That 8,500, would that include the little trunk by the sidewalk?
Yep, it was 7,000 something, and then that little chunk of sidewalk there is $1,100 extra.
And you said the money's coming from?
So this is an unbudgeted item for me.
Oh, so, okay, Elaine, is there any way we could get money somewhere?
Do you have some line items that maybe you would have a little extra?
Yes. We were unable to get a patrol car this year. That was roughly almost 50,000.
Shall I make a motion for Mike Church, Police Chief, additional cost for sidewalks and approach to the police garage for approximately 8,500, or if it becomes lower, to work within your budget and with Elaine and the city's budget for year 2024. You want to get done right away, right?
Yeah, our plans are to get it done right away. They're almost complete with the building. I think they're just waiting on garage doors.
Yeah,
We had a little hiccup on the firewall where we had to add some things to make it fire compliant, if you will.
Right.
Since there's two separate entities and two separate power outlets that go to that building. So
I first did, only wanted to second it.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Motion and second on the table to approve a line item budget request for $8,500 for concrete near the new police station. And Mike will work with Elaine on ensuring that we can retain budget neutrality. So, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Mike, anything else?
no, that's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Jean Norling, good evening.
Good evening.
How would you like to start? You want to open up and then we can,
Sure.
Yep.
So I guess just tonight I wanted to come and talk to you a little bit about, Jennifer has left, moved away from town, or will be within the next couple of weeks, and we need to hire somebody. So we had a library board meeting last week, and I had the job ad for them, and the 1560 that we were going to hire for, or 66, and they were like, their mouth kind of got open, and they said, do you think you can find somebody for that? Because I think they pay $17 at McDonald's and $20 at the dollar store, and they just said if you really want to get some quality help, I think you're going to need to up your wages a little bit. I think you're just getting behind. And so, and I said, well, I can't make just the scale go up. I mean, my employees then across the board that have been there for 20 years would have to, if we went up, they suggested $3 an hour. So then I said we'd need to go $3 an hour for everybody. So my employees that have been there like 17 years would be getting around $20 an hour, I think, and and my starting person would be getting around 18. So I did put in there, I took all my part-time hours from last year because I get for my annual state library report every year. I put down how many employees we have based on the hours, and so my 3 part-time employees all together worked 3,703 hours last year, and I know that could vary by, a couple hundred hours here and there. So I did take that times $3 an hour, so overall it would impact my budget for next year by about $11,000 plus some matching Social Security, so about $12,000 total. And I guess, we don't pay much of any benefits for our part-time people. I did get some South Dakota retirement through. We don't do any health insurance at all. They don't get dental, they don't get anything else, so a $20 an hour job, we all know, times 2,000 hours, that's $40,000 a year job, and they're under that, and then they're just part-time anyway, so, they're not making, too much, under $20,000 each. And if I'm hoping to attract somebody younger, somebody with a degree, they very likely could have daycare, and that's very expensive, and I'm just not sure that we're keeping up with the times, and so, and Ashley mentioned at school how much more they have to pay for paras now, and so I got some wages from Jared, and I put that on your information. And I guess I'm not asking for a custodial wage increase at this time, but I just made a point that they get paid $18.90 at school, and that when you guys review the part-time wages, because I think there's a lot of custodians across the city, so that's not just my department, but it's very hard to find somebody that wants to come in and clean at nights, in the mornings, I don't think anybody will clean a home for $20 or $25 an hour at least, and so just something I think you should look at and be aware of when it comes time to review your part-time wages, to look at custodians a bit. I think they're on the low side, but I'm not specifically asking that just for my department because I don't think I could fairly say my custodians worth more than the other ones. So.
You have your own separate custodian?
We have a separate custodian?
Yeah.
Yeah, she works 10 hours a week.
Who does the city use for cleaning?
My mom, Nancy.
Oh.
I will make a point. Barb is an 80% employee, so she does receive health insurance.
She does.
And then she also gets 80% of vacation time and sick time. She said
So she averages 32 hours. She is the only city employee that has that status, which can be challenging. Yeah, so I just, like I said, my entire board was kind of like, wow, I just think you're behind. I think you need to offer some better, more competitive wages. And so now's the time if we're going to be hiring someone. I'm hoping to hire someone for a few years that might stay for a while.
You have an advertisement out right now, currently?
I have not advertised yet. I was getting ready to advertise, like I said, when I showed them that, and they just said, I think you need to raise wages before you.
Well, we wouldn't normally raise state wages during the middle of the year, would we?
Not typically, don't.
Yeah.
I think for the pool, you had to give more wages from what I understand. You just couldn't go with what you had because you couldn't find anybody. So sometimes there are instances where you just decide it's time and you're behind, and that's, I guess, where I'm coming from right now.
So in addition to,
I've got a couple letters of support.
yeah, Jane's information that she's provided us, I do have 2 letters. I'll read Renee James, President of the Library Board, and then I'll read part of Laura's. She wrote there's a little bit more information, Rich, but I will, did everybody get a copy of this one? Okay, good, okay, so you guys have that one. Just a letter then from Renee. On behalf of the library board, I'm writing to acknowledge the library board's desire to request wage increase for our dedicated library staff. Jay Norling and her library team have consistently demonstrated exceptional commitment, specialized skills in their roles to retain our talented team and ensure that they have continued motivation and effectiveness. It's essential that we adjust our compensation accordingly. Additionally, as we seek to hire a new part-time librarian, offering competitive wages will be crucial in attracting qualified candidates who can contribute effectively to our library's mission. An increase would not only recognize the current staff's hard work, but also enhance the ability to recruit top candidates. Thank you for considering this important request. Signed, Renee James, President, Library Board. And then you see Laura's message, and Laura's last paragraph I think is pretty impactful. She credits some of the benefit for how the library has given her a head start on what she does. So the budget cycle says we're going to have this fall, we'll meet and we'll talk through next calendar year budgets. I'm trying to think what's feasible here in the sense of trying to proactively look at those discussions, what the outcomes might be, how we might be able to marry those future discussions with current activity. I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, but at the same time, I think it is of essence to make sure that we put our best foot forward when we're advertising right now.
Art, do you feel that support was strong at the meeting?
Pardon?
Don't you feel that support was strong at the
Oh, yeah,
meeting
they
from
were.
everybody that?
They were definitely did a good job on making the issue work.
Because I did not bring
They
it up.
felt that
They
the amount of expertise with the children, with the movies, with the books were impeccable. And then we felt that, especially with the new hiree, it would be a lot easier, just like some of the other departments, I don't want to mention names, but some of the other departments, we made a thing with the dollar amount on a ceiling, but then all of a sudden we left it open a little bit more. So my issue was, and so was the rest of the board members, was if we're going to spend just as much time to try to get $15 an hour, we try to have it a little bit more, where a couple of dollars more might get somebody in. I checked it Burger King in about 6 places here myself, and one of the supervisors, I believe, on Burger King started at $23 an hour. That's starting pay. And then the other issue is, I've been here now since '91, and at any given day in the summer, you might see 200 kids at the library. I've been in the school quite a bit too, and there's quite a few functions at the school, but Jane's always been impeccable with the kids, the teaching, everybody, and I knew a lot of the kids that had the teaching at the library, and they said it was impeccable, and they're really happy. It used to be a 4-star, we don't get a 4-star anymore, but I would rather keep the people we got, because eventually, everybody's not in the same classification as teaching and get all the people. It's a little bit more of a, how do you say it, you gotta be a little more knowledgeable when you deal with people and kids. Some people are better at it, and I think her staff is impeccable. And she does a great job herself, God bless her. She leaves, we're in trouble.
I bet you get a lunch.
So how much would this impact your budget for the remainder of the year if we were to do something?
Well, I think with Jennifer gone the next month or so, and we're putting out the ad and getting somebody hired, we'll be without that person for a while, so we're going to be working somewhat short. I mean, one of my employees already has she shows goats and stuff, so she's already got some things planned. Just Barb and I are going to be handling some of the weeks, and there's just nothing I can do. I'm not going to be able to add a zillion hours. We're just going to have to do a little less programming and get by for a month and a half, or however long it takes to get somebody in there and get them hired, bring it back to the council, and so I think that'll help my budget. I usually probably have a few thousand between all my different categories, that a little leeway in case something comes up. got 500 here, 1,000 there. So I really doubt I'll go over. I've never have before, so. I didn't ask for much for next year in my budget for Elaine. I didn't ask for much for increase, so.
Thoughts from the council?
Is there ever any, range of pay, like depending on if you get someone who applies that has a certification or the degree or whatever versus someone who doesn't have a degree, or?
Well, I sent you the part-time scale, so I guess, you know, what I've seen before happen, although I think our starting wage would, if you went up that much, would be pretty decent, but I could come in and say, would you be willing to give someone the second or third step? But then that's kind of impacting and making that salary almost the same as my people who've been there 17 or 20 years, and that's hard for me to take away all those years of experience by saying, well, we're gonna hire the new person for about 75 cents less than what you're making, you know, or $1 or whatever. So I struggle with that.
I just got a question for Elaine. How much less is the budget that she's requesting for next year versus this year?
Well, it's not really finalized.
No, but
And
around the
salaries would impact what I'm gonna have.
Yeah,
so-
so how much would it impact? if
There's
we
the
did
other
get
thing,
the
if
increase?
12,000 would be my entire next year's impact for raising it $3 an hour for everyone, well, I'm only gonna have 2-3 months yet this year, you know, so we're talking $2,000 or $3,000 for this year probably, roughly.
And you made a comment that you might have a little extra in the budget for this year, so what, I'm not
I
saying,
mean, yeah,
I'm not saying what to
reasonably, in
do,
case
but
my
what
copier
happens?
goes out, I have.
What happens if you chip in a little for this year and we maybe consider maybe next year? I mean, if it's only a couple thousand, we
Well,
get,
Elaine knows I do have some money, you know, for donations and things. We have a separate library account, so if I'm at all close on my budget, I can pay for some books and Elaine co-signs a check and it comes out of our other library account. So, I mean, it's possible to do that, so I'd be watching close.
I admire that you brought up the lifeguards. That was,
I mean,
I would
really,
expect a librarian to do her homework. You did that
a
well.
kid in high
But-
school only can make, you know, $17 an hour and I'm just
Yeah.
trying to hire a qualified adult for $15.66. Can you
Yeah, I
imagine?
mean, as far as precedent, I know in that particular case, I think it was because there weren't others available and you don't know that yet. And like Mike, I'm a little concerned about being out of the cycle.
I had 3 applicants last time, and I just felt super lucky that Jennifer was one of them.
Yeah.
And she did a super great job, but
No, I understand that, but I mean, we're coming up, we're 2 months away from going into the budget cycle. And I'm wondering because of that precedent, but recognizing the innovation and the work that's been done and the position that you're in as far as balancing, if it might be more appropriate to do something like a $1 increase now. But remember that as we come to the budget cycle, as I recall last year, I mean, we did a really close look at departments that had not received the same attention as others, and if it might be more appropriate to address that in 2 months as we do that. We'll take a closer look at those. That's just a suggestion compared to the precedent that the council has had.
how does that sound to you? I mean, $1.50, I mean, he's got a good point there a little bit. I mean, I made a good point too, saying if you want
7's
to take it.
good, but I'll come down to 3 now.
No, I mean, I made a point too that if you got $2 in the budget that she's willing to pay, or consider paying for this year, and then next year we
Well,
could,
I can't really pay for the salaries, but yeah, if something else goes over, I.
If my math is correct on that suggestion, that's a 5% bump on those that are at around 18 and a quarter.
I think Annie makes 17 something and.
But I just use that as an
Yeah,
average.
you're right,
for
for a round
example.
number.
Yeah.
Mhm. I don't know, you guys know what it takes to hire people and hire adults, and maybe you got some, maybe y'all wanna apply at the library and make $15.66, I'm sure I could try to get you in. Okay, that was some sarcasm, but anyway.
So you're suggesting $1 an hour?
I'm tossing that out.
For all of them, or just?
Yeah, across the board, that would give you a little more latitude on the hire. But again, if you don't want to jump too far in the steps, you know, that's, at the same time, that's something we normally consider in November, so.
Are you talking about giving it $1 today and then reconsider to pay for next year under?
At the time that we consider the whole, yeah.
Yeah, like he said.
But I'm looking for the library board rep for leadership.
Well, what's your opinion on that? I mean,
Well, you know, something's better than nothing, it is, but, I do think wages are getting much more competitive and that you're just not hiring people too much under $18 to $20 an hour for almost any job, so. Being I'm getting a little older too, it seems kind of high to me, but it is what's happening, and young people are demanding it in their jobs. They're not afraid to ask for $20, $25, $30 an hour. I guess as a city, you got to decide if you want to be a leader and you want to be up there with the school and the city having similar wages. If you want to be on the lower end of things or not, you're just going to have to decide how you feel about that.
And Jane, I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is we're within weeks of examining the budget cycle in total.
Right.
And to say, look, the library staff, you know, if we're talking about 5 now to accommodate and make the path to that part-time hire easier and fair, and then say, let's look at this in totality and say, you know, let's look at next year's budget and go for that other 2 or 3 on top of it because we see that that's appropriate. I'm a little more concerned about that at the same time.
Yep, and I do understand that too. I do. So I'm sure anything would be helpful to hire somebody to be better than 16 is better than 15.
We're all looking at you.
Hoping for more, but hey.
well, I mean, we have a
Maybe
couple
you can't
options.
do it.
I mean, I don't want to be too lopsided here, but I mean, he made a comment about $1. I mean, there's a couple different ways. I mean, how about if you maybe give the one you're trying to hire a little bit more, and then maybe start the other ones at a later date. You know, because by the time you put that ad in the paper and get the people calling back, it's probably not going to be till maybe next month anyway. So it's September, October.
I know.
Yeah, so you got 2 months.
I just can't do that, Art. I can't.
I know,
I'd rather
I'm just
stay
saying.
where I'm at because I just won't stay out the people that have been there for so long, planning programs. Annie's got a degree in early childhood. She's got a special ed endorsement. She got lots of qualifications. She does a super job.
I can make a motion, but if they shoot it down, just saying that's it. So, I mean, the more they're willing to make a motion, but I'm going to need a second. I'm going to need 4 votes.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that whatever it is you decide, I think it needs to be across the board at this time.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. Will, what do you think? I need a little support down there, whatever you want to do.
Well, you're asking for 3, what you're asking. And, you know, the dilemma is we're so close to reviewing next year's budget and raises and whatnot. And to just go ahead and give you 3, I don't think that's going to be feasible at this point, but I'd be willing to go halfway at $1.50. And then revisit
for next year,
this,
which is only 2 months.
Yeah.
and revisit this in another 2 months. Yeah, we're just,
I think that's fair. I do
you hit us
think,
at a bad time.
yeah, and I do think overall though, if you look at $12,000 for a budget, I mean, that's a quarter of your average employee in Beresford's salary, 40,000 probably, and you got some making more, some maybe making less, but, you know.
What do you think, Sarah? We need a little input.
So I'm not saying that you're wrong, and if you want to do the $1.50, like I said, it would be
To start,
okay with me, but just think about that when you're looking in a couple months, that it's really a small amount of money in the scheme of things for departments and what we do.
what do you think, Sarah?
Well, considering I've never been through a budget process, that's obviously gonna be
Hey,
my
that's the
first
most fun
coming
part
up
of being
here.
on council.
Thanks.
I am not, I don't know enough. I would be inclined to do half now with the anticipation of doing the rest at that time of the budget. But
Right.
I don't know enough of how the budget process works yet.
Okay, Pat, what's the deal?
I think I'm on the same page, you know, I'm concerned with the timing right before the
Well,
budget.
there's your answer, like Sarah's telling you what you got to work with.
So make them work hard.
Sean, make a motion, is that gonna be acceptable, I mean, to start?
Yeah, or do you need all 4 tires on the car? No.
No.
I'm teasing you. Yeah, go ahead, go for it.
Alright, Sean, make a motion. You're doing a great job. Okay, Sean, make a motion to review the wages for the summer library assistant, children's librarian, and custodian.
No, not custodian.
Not custodian.
Okay, not the custodian, that's a different deal?
I just want you guys to look at that broadly across the city.
Okay, wait a minute, okay,
Later.
so how do you want me to word this? Children's librarian and librarians?
Shop makes a motion to increase the scale by $1.50 an hour across the board on our scale and for our current employees. Does that sound reasonable to you, Art? Or what Jerry says?
She does it for the
Effective tomorrow.
How about today?
How about today, because it's a payroll time? Effective
Because
today.
payroll, it's a new payroll today.
I'm starting today for $1.50 an hour,
Across the board.
And that you'll,
across the board.
Art, I'll second that.
Thank you, sir, thank you. Appreciate all the support, thank you,
Motion and second on the table to increase the positions
thank you.
of summer library assistant, children's librarian, and librarian by $150 across the board, effective immediately. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Alright,
Anyone opposed? Motion passed.
thank
So
you.
it's still in the right direction. The timing is, we'll have to work on, we'll do that, so.
Okay, I understand, thanks. Thanks for all your comments and
thank you, the library's impeccable. You do a great service for the city, I'm really impressed.
thanks, Art.
Thank you, God bless you.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Third item for department head, city administrator, reports to Lane and Jerry. Just
We authorize that.
Authorize the part-time
Oh, yep.
advertising.
Oh, yes, here, advertisement, yes. Okay, last item. So quickly before we move on, Jane would like to authorize the advertising for that position now that the wage has been increased. So.
That's correct. So I will start with the librarian. So my thought is, I really don't know if I'm gonna get someone who's like well qualified with children, so I'm gonna hire at the librarian scale. And then if I get someone who's super qualified, the children's librarian's a little bit higher. I mean, I would like to have somebody that can help program and do the stuff with the kids. So I'm gonna take the lower one to start and see what I get. What I did with Jennifer was I had her work about 6 months, and when I could see that she clearly could do a great job with kids, then I came in and asked if she could be moved up to the children's scale. So that may be something I would look at in the future, if I have somebody who's doing a super job with the kids.
Shall I make a motion to authorize advertising for part-time librarian as Jane stated for the city of Beresford, South Dakota, starting today?
I'll get the ad going here in the next week, probably.
Motion and second on the table to authorize advertising the part-time librarian position. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. Elena Jerry, just a quick update on city move.
Or Lane kind of start, she's kind of spearheading most of the.
So everything has been ordered, the furniture, the carpet, the vinyl tile. We're just waiting for delivery and installation. And I know the telephone department has gone over there and is putting up the wood blinds back into the windows, and there's a little bit of touch-up paint that needs to be completed. So it's just a waiting game now.
Waiting on carpet.
Perfect.
And we're certain the roof leak is fixed.
We're praying it's the fixed.
Well, the next thing, the big mile-an-hour wind comes out of the east, we'll know.
Yeah. Because it's my office.
Okay.
Uh,
And it isn't really on our building, it's the building next door is where they were finding it, so we share a wall. So it's getting up underneath of one of the wind's pushing it back up underneath that deal is what it was doing, so we're trying to get that resealed, so hopefully they got the right spot this time.
Okay.
Yeah, we just, as we're thinking through the move and the different parts, moving parts, no pun intended. We know that South Dakota has a finicky way of introducing September to us. Sometimes it can be 95.
Well, now that you said that, we're gonna have an early winter.
So I'll try not to anger Mother Nature, but so
I mean, it's ready to go. I mean, they could call tomorrow and say they're coming and I mean, it's ready.
Yeah.
There's nothing holding us back now.
awesome.
Just wait for them.
All right, any questions from council on that? Mr.
I just
John?
got one question, real quick. And the appraiser, Chair, gonna talk to you briefly, that eventually you're gonna try to get some kind of appraisal for this building and the other one.
I think that's under our next discussion.
All right, okay, just bring it up. Thank you.
All right, and on that note, we'll actually move to the next item on the agenda, which is a discussion on what to do with City Hall until the council chambers have to move to the new City Hall.
We talked about this last meeting, so I just wanted everyone to kind of think about it. Some of the options that we talked about were getting sealed bids on it. That's one option. You can do an auction, either in person or you can do an online auction, or you can do it both ways. You can do it both options. You can hire real estate brokers. There's your local real estate brokers could do that for us, or we could donate it to somebody else, another political subdivision development corporation, let's say, whatever we might want to do with it. So there are a lot of different options for you guys out there. If I was leaning one way right now, I think the real estate broker option is probably something you guys would just have to find three appraisers, come up with a value on it, set a value, and then you could work on getting the best price possible for the buildings. But the auctions, we don't really know where we're going to be at on those, so we didn't have very good luck on the last auction we had on the buildings, so we might want to look at some different options.
And there's potential they could split the two.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
one, two, together.
So they'd be advertised as two separate buildings or one building?
They could do either way, I think, just depending. The offers would be presented to you guys to consider, so.
Okay.
So they can come in with different options, several different options, just depending on how fast you want to move on. Do they have to meet the minimum bids down or appraised values at all?
No, we gotta give notice of the price and what the appraisal is.
Exactly, yeah.
If you came up with someone wanted to purchase it, you'd have to give notice to the public of what the proposed sale price is and what the appraised value came back at, so if it's significantly lower, you may have public come and say, what are you giving it away for?
Well, I'm concerned that would sell, but this would sit empty and we own a building. Now that, I mean, it could become storage, I guess, for the city if we need it, but.
Interestingly, I've actually heard people interested in this,
There's more interest in this.
Oh,
Yeah,
on this side.
that's what I heard too.
which is, kind of counter to it. But
Okay.
The idea is obviously we want some small business to move into these buildings and something that's affordable for them.
Mhm.
Maybe it should be buy this building, you get that one with it.
That was right when we got it, if I remember right, down back then. Didn't they give that to us?
First National Bank?
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't remember.
I came across some documents once, I wish I would have,
It's been a long time.
yeah.
Keep in mind also, there's a restriction on selling to a financial institution. That was part of the agreement with First Dakota to get that building bought. The city would have a deed restriction on this, so.
Do we need a definition of a financial institution?
Bank.
A bank?
So if Ameriprise wanted to move in, they're not a bank per se.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A competitor in that space.
Right.
Okay.
Credit union,
Yeah,
like that would, that'd be a competition with First Dakota. They come to town, just wouldn't be able to use these two buildings.
So we'll have to make this formal decision
I think we can put it on the next agenda, kind of, if we want to go the real estate option, we'll put that on the agenda, just, then point the 3 appraisers, we'll have some names for you. Obviously, probably use our realtors here in town, who've got the most knowledge about, what's selling, what's not, and pricing, so. If we have 3 companies here in town.
Publish the appraised price, confidential stuff. The time of sale, so.
So we'll come back, put that on the agenda as an action item next time.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Moving into new business, resolution 2024-14, Transportation Alternatives Program Grant Application.
Yeah, I think we've kind of moved forward through this process over the last 2 meetings. In order for us to apply, we do have to adopt this resolution. The applications are due by the end of the month, so Harley, we have to work with Sea Dog, is pretty real good at keeping us on track. So she'd like to, if we're interested in doing this, we need to have this. If we don't want to move forward with that, you know, that's your guys' priority. But you can do whatever you want, I guess, at that time. The cost estimate was $380,000. If we do get approved for that, the city share would be 18.05% of that, or $68,590, and we did include an estimate, includes a contingency of $43,500. So again, giving you just a little background on that. Bike path would run from Westville south past the Catholic Church around the corner, and then it would connect to the existing path that's out there. So that's kind of where we're at on it. I think there were some different thoughts on how to go forward with that going forward, but.
And we did determine there's enough room there to put this in.
I think they can go different heights. They said they've got some places where it's 5 foot on different paths that they do have, so.
Okay.
So it'd be right adjacent to the road. That would make most sense. There's gonna be some very challenging areas in there. I think as we've walked it, there's some pretty good slopes on some of those driveways going in, so that's gonna make it a challenge.
How much additional money do you think we're gonna need to compensate for that? I thought you said at one time, you had an engineer look at it and threw out an additional number on top of what.
This is the last estimate I have.
This
is the last.
That takes into account all the extra dirt work and whatnot.
Originally, that was what was figured in, yes.
You know, I think one of the things that was I identified in the previous discussion was that there wasn't universal agreement on the corner of those residents. I do know that I believe Mike and Maisie came in. There was a few others. I do know that when we were looking at some of the potential work that would need to occur, one driveway that became, you know, a focal point was Ken Royal's driveway, because it's steep. Any potential addition to that would make it even steeper. I would like to be able to apply for the grant, but then when we think about funding, what can we potentially ask those that live on the corner, much in the same way that they would be, folks in the new development would be responsible for sidewalk? Can we ask them to pay part of this, or is that off the table with the grant application? Because I think if they saw that it was a very 18% of the total cost, we're taking advantage of a grant. The thing that I think is beneficial to the community is that it provides safe access for our kids that are riding around that corner, especially on days like today when the sun's in someone's eyeball is driving to the west.
What I can do is, I think we still have another meeting before this. I will check with the grant people to see if that's a possibility. If that's, you know, if we apply that way, we're gonna have to stick with that though. We're gonna have to say going in that these guys are gonna pay for their fair share, and some of these people probably aren't gonna be real receptive to that. So I think we're gonna be, I don't think it's going to move forward if we have to go that route, to be real honest. If we tell everyone they're going to have to pay $5,000 to $10,000 or more, for the square footage on their property.
The name of the grant is this is an NHTSA, or South Dakota Department of Transportation.
It's called the Transportation Alternatives Program.
So it's a program, it's a grant.
It's gonna benefit more than just the people who live there. I mean, it's extending the walking path and opportunity to walk a different area other than just on the golf course. So.
Yeah, fully agreed. As part of Baltic's advertising they've been used to market their new development, they've talked a lot about their path as they really connects to the social network of Baltic, which is an interesting way to put it, but I do know that people do use that often.
That's something that's been addressed in our comprehensive plans. Every year we do one. It's a need for more walking bike paths, things like that. And in our grant applications, we usually refer to those types of things in there. So we are following some types of the plans that we've actually had laid out. I think 2019 was the last time we did that. Looking at growth areas, looking at how we're going to connect those growth areas, those kind of things. So, and obviously bike paths are part of that area.
Has there been any consideration that, since that takes you around to 3rd and the boulevard, is that considered potential connecting path to take you all the way to the new ball fields? Or, I mean, I know on 13th there's a lane set aside on the street, but you know, looking further down the road, and there's been discussions of having a loop that could be as much as a mile around the ball fields and connecting that to the new housing addition. I mean, if that, I think there might be even more support if that was seen as a loop that would bring you right through downtown and continue to the north across 46. I mean, you know, allowances for pedestrian ways and so forth, but.
One time we went out to one of these meetings with these people. We were redoing some sidewalks in different areas and didn't have a lot of reception on that in the core area of town. I think what a lot of towns do, I know Yankton's done that with their own streets. They put 5 feet along a curb. We call it designate that as a bike path. Of course, that eliminates parking on that side of the street also. So that's the issue you're going to run in there. Is you're taking away someone's parking front spots in front of their house when they have a family over. So those would be the kind of concerns that they have. We have tried that with the previous application we put in, and they did really think that was, they didn't figure they should put money in the sidewalks at that point in time. That are already there.
Well, it seems to me, you know, we're putting in a glorified sidewalk. And, you know, I'm worried about the safety of the kids too. I mean, don't take me wrong here. I'm just trying to be fair with all the other residents in town. Like the newer homes that are being built out around that corner by the golf course, you know, they all had to put in sidewalks. Now, when these houses were built, for some reason, sidewalks weren't put in. Now, I don't know what the ordinance states, but I think it's kind of odd that there isn't any sidewalk there at all. And what I'm afraid of is, you know, we're going to spend this money. We put in this this bike path, which I really don't think we really need for the cost that's being put to the city. But we lowered the speed limit, which I don't know that that's really being followed. But anyway, I think it's, if the residents are concerned about their kids, I mean, I think they need to have some skin in this. And, you know, we have to, if we put this bike path in, now we got to maintain it all through the winter and whatnot. So now, not only do we put in this, and I'm calling it a sidewalk, and now we got to take care of it, get rid of the snow and all that, and that's going to present a lot of challenges, because when you scrape the street, that snow goes right there. And, so it's gonna be a lot of grief on you to get
I'm just
that
gonna put the
open.
snow there. That'll be Kelly and Jason.
Well, but anyway, so I mean, if I'd be supportive of this if the people that are gonna benefit from this pay for the city's portion. Now, they're not paying for the whole thing. The state of South Dakota is looking at, what was the figure, Gary?
380 and then
384 or something?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's $384,000 they don't have to spend out of their pockets. And our portion comes to 68 or?
68,590.
Okay. So, I mean, you divide that up by yardage amongst all those houses, I mean, I think they're, they got skin in the game. And, they get free sidewalk care during the winter. I mean, it's all taken care of for them. So, I mean, they're benefiting a lot. And I just don't see how this is fair for anyone that's building a new home who has to put in a sidewalk. Now, we're calling this basically a footpath, but, it's, I don't think the money that we're gonna spend, for having a handful of people to utilize it, I'm sure it will. But I mean, how many people? Are we talking 300? Are we talking 20? If it's just 20, we're spending almost $70,000. Why? I mean, we're fighting gain here for $1.50 an hour for part-time employees. We don't have a qualm about spending $70,000 for this. I don't. Something's gotta be, in my mind, guys, this is my opinion, I just think we need to look at this a little closer and really, do we have to put this in? I mean, if these people are concerned about their children, and they should be, I'm all for children's safety, but they should have put in sidewalks when they built these houses, and they did not. So why is it our responsibility to throw a sidewalk in? I gotta replace my sidewalk here in another couple of years. That's called a bike path. Hey, yeah, and I don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure my sidewalk gets used a lot harder than what that would out there. Especially in the summertime with all the kids on bikes and going to the pool and all that. I get a lot of kids. And, well, they don't use my sidewalk, they like cutting through my yard, but hey,
There is a lot of traffic out there, I can tell you that, I mean, because I live out there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that walk. I mean, obviously, they don't go maybe that far necessarily, but on the actual bike path, there are a lot of people I don't even know who they are, that obviously live in our community, or some that I'm like, I recognize them, but I don't think they live in our community, but I think they come here to actually walk our bike path too.
well,
So,
I'm just saying it's not really fair to those that just built houses and had to put sidewalks in while these guys, we have an ordinance. Now, I don't know if was it followed or it was, I don't know what the deal is, Jerry, you'd have to enlighten me on that.
Before they started, before I was in here putting them houses
I think the first one started.
There's an ordinance that says people are supposed to put sidewalks in, and the city council has the right to force people to put sidewalks in too.
But a lot of those, not a lot, but a few of those houses are on second or third generation owners too, so they're not at fault for the people who built them. They bought it as is.
Did you check with some of the other agencies that donate money, United Fund or whatever, to see if they would donate anything towards the
It's gonna
project?
be a long process, or I started.
I know, I was saying-
Over here, 1,000 here, 1,000 there, take forever.
Every penny counts. I was just saying, I kinda support Will's attitude a little bit, but maybe we could put it on the next, is it too late if we put it on the next agenda? Maybe talk about it a little bit more?
No, I mean, you have to do something, if you wanna apply, right, just go around, we can wait till next year. You'll accept it again, it's an annual application process.
I don't see a problem with the city having skin in the game on this too. I mean, it's gonna be utilized by more than just the people who live there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know if, is to go halfway, like take that 70,000 and city pays half and make them pay the other half. I don't know. But I don't know if we make them pay the whole amount either. Because they're gonna, just because they happen to live there and it's not their fault. But we're creating a benefit to the whole entire community.
Was there comment from the DOT that this project would likely have to have significant public support in order to be approved?
Yes.
In my experience, you talking about, there's nothing more contentious when you start saying people have to pay for a sidewalk.
Yeah.
And you would not have the support if there's people out there that don't want it, it'll be noisy. So it's gonna be tough, I think, and I don't know with this TAP program, if you can do any type of assessment on it, because of the type of program that it is. In fact, you know, it's transportation alternative program. It's not supposed to be just a sidewalk. It's transportation route for people to go safer than on the streets. So, you know, bikes and things like that. So I think, you know, it is connecting to the existing trail back around by, you know, the school property. So it is, you know, more than just a typical sidewalk, I think. So, yeah, I think the city is benefit to put that forward, but I think we're gonna have a hard road to hoe if we start going and trying to request the agents and owners to kick in.
What's the time frame to put it in like it was approved?
Usually it's a year, you mean from the time, we won't know for award by till the end of the year.
Okay.
So then you got the engineers that do all their work and that too, and I'll do that, so. It'd probably be either late next year or the year after. It might be 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure on this one because it's I mean, this is gonna take some work to get to a set of plans on this one put together.
Well, I'm just thinking if we can do it over a couple budget cycles, put 30,000 or so away this year, 35, and another 35 next year, and then it's not such a big hit. But I mean, just so it's in the budget, it'd roll over.
So continue to push forward with the grant application, but then figure out, try to get to a point where we address some of the concerns that, obviously establishing public support, clearly illustrating the benefit, probably looking at some of the volume statistics, because Sarah, like you said, I see tons of people out there. It'd be nice to know from a volume perspective what we got, and even being able to better illustrate what the long-term plan is, I think to Larry's point.
I use that area quite a bit in the bike path, and the route that I'll take more times than not is getting to where the bike path goes to the golf course. I'll go out on the road, go down to the water tower section line and bike the section lines. And you'd be surprised how many people are walking that route. They're not walking the route around the corner downtown. They're going all the way east to the water tower and then north or south along that east section line. And that's what, you know, that was the nature of my question is, I mean, and I know that it's a deal breaker to start crossing streets, but it seems like it's being utilized now. And is that a route that eventually connects us to the north end of town?
It could be, absolutely.
Yeah. That's the one question I had too. With this grant application, does it lock you into, you know, the south side of the road going through there? Because, yeah, I looked at that and that will be extremely challenging to get it in there from an engineering standpoint with the driveways, the mailboxes, the light poles and everything that's in that area. But if you go to the south side and push it up so it's off the street, it's back against the right of way. In my mind, that's a much safer option too, not being right on the edge of the road. But you will have street crossings. Well, we have it's a 25-mile-an-hour zone, and we have street crossings at every intersection. You'll be crossing at an intersection, so I don't understand, I guess, what the DOT was against that, per se, because, you have a 5-foot or 8-foot lane right off the edge of the pavement, to me, seems like a much more hazardous situation than a crossing, especially if you've got flashing lights and markings for it. But
yeah, quite frankly, that road that leads out to the water tower is not safe right now, with 46 closed, the sheer volume of traffic is.
Yeah.
I go out in bright colors, and I spend about 26 hours on my bicycle in the month of August, and people are unfortunately with distracted driving and excess traffic on those roads because of 46 closure. It's not particularly safe. So I think back to Mike's point, look at the grant, look at approval of the grant, but then try to come to some consensus where we've got a better feel for the finances. And I think to address Will's concern that someone's not getting, they're not getting a freebie. Some sort of investment, some sort of endorsement, and then agreement too, because if there's someone that's wild, like Pat said, if somebody that's wild, they're going to disapprove of that plan, that. Because if we apply for the grant, there's some sort of untoward circumstance that occurs between now and then, turn it off.
because applying for the grant doesn't commit us 100% to
Just if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, so.
I'll make a motion for resolution 2024-14.
second.
A motion on this and a second on the table to approve resolution 2024-14 Transportation Alternative Program Grant application to the South Dakota Department of Transportation. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Resolution's been approved. Great discussion, thanks. Next item on the agenda, Banner Associates proposal for water
Thank you,
system.
James.
Water system facility plant amendment. This was a change we talked about last time?
Yeah, with the upgrade of the Lewis Park regional water system, we got about $3.768 million worth of expenses that we're going to be paying off 2025 to 2031, with payments increasing each year until the last payment in 2031. So as part of that, Banner would help us try to determine the proper rates that we need to be charging and what those increases will be in each of those years based on what Lewis and Clark is telling us the cost will be. I think there are all the other parts of that. We'd also look at some alternatives as far as if we could sell some of the water rights that we are signed up for, which is 509,000 gallons on top of the 875,000 gallons per day that we already have. So that's what this is going to take a look at. It's going to look at all of the different options that we have moving forward. It gives us something rather than just a guess what we're going to do and how we're going to fund this particular program. And they're going to get it on the state water plan and see if there's any funding available for us there too. So that's the idea with this thing, is that we need to do something moving forward. We don't want to be kind of sitting out here just guessing how much we want to increase our water rates if we have to. Banner works with Lewis and Clark, and they've been the Lewis and Clark engineers since 1990 on this project. So they're very familiar with the project, and they're good at what doing this type of thing with us. So I'm going to recommend that we'll move forward with it so that in the years to come we kind of know where we're at as far as these rates go. And it's not an educated, it's an educated guess, not just a guess out blue sky here, so.
Jerry, have they calculated, the water that's available to Beresford, what the potential is for that to be committed to future development? I mean, as we're planning developments or additional housing? I mean, if they look and said, right now you've got an overage of 500,000 gallons a day.
We haven't done it, we have not done anything like that.
Is that something that could be within the scope of what they're looking at? Just a ballpark? I mean, if nothing else, and we have access to additional water, we would have the option.
Yeah, for population growth, maybe 1,000 over the next 25, 30 years or something like that.
But to say, well, even with what we're allotted, we've got more than enough to cover that, maybe we should market some of that water upstream to pay for the project.
Well, look at Beresford, I think they originally signed up for, I want to say 1 million gallons, and they're way over that already, and that did take them, but, a few years, and they're pushing that. Now they're looking for other water sources all the time. So that would be an option, obviously, that we could look at, is that we don't need it right now, but we could sell it to them and make some money off that to help us offset the cost of the whole.
I'm wondering if that would be in the balance of what our.
This is what they're gonna be looking at.
Okay, good.
Is there a dollar amount that they're giving us for this?
It's $10,000 maximum,
Okay. The charge?
up to 10,000 maximum,
Yes,
yes,
they're gonna charge us.
yes.
We need a motion.
A motion if you wanna move forward.
Second motion, Banner Associates proposal for water system facility plant amendment of maximum of $10,000 for fees. Is that what you said, Jerry?
You don't have to include the amounts, just.
Okay. All right, stricken
Well,
amount
absolute plan amendment.
for plant amendment. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Just a point, typically how is the city financed the rural, Lewis Clark water? You said that it was 3 million over the next 5 years. Do you budget for that, or are you taking loans
Yeah, that's what
for
Yeah.
through the state to get those, or how in the past?
Which one do we have? How many of them do we have, Elaine?
So we have 2 SRF water surcharges, and then we have the Lewis and Clark general obligation loan.
We originally took that out, and that was strictly for that at the time. I think now we don't even put that on the water bill anymore, do we? The
Lewis and
original,
Clark is included in the water
in
rates.
the water rates now, yeah, so we budget for it annually.
So just my,
The payments are in the budget.
the point on that is I believe a current water facility plan is requiring it to get those loans.
It
So,
is, it is.
it's not just, seeing where cost-wise things fall with Lewis and Clark water, but if we pay for it with a,
So this project would
from the
actually
state,
have to be on
you need to
there.
have a facility plan in place in order to do that. That's part of the loan process. I believe.
Part of the analysis, but I guess would have to be industrial group too, if there's a way to calculate history going forward, so.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they look at all those things for us, so.
What's their time frame for putting this together?
If I start at the end of this year sometime, start working towards it for next year.
And we shored up what we owed Lewis and Clark last
Correct.
meeting, right? So we have no balance with them anymore on what?
No.
Okay, so we're clear on that. This is all going towards the future expansion.
This will complement that analysis of Lewis and Clark versus the new system that's being developed.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the table.
Second.
Motion and a second on the table to accept Banner Associates proposal for water system facility plan amendment. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, request number 6, Beresford wastewater treatment facility improvements.
Yeah, if you're here, you want to just give them an update on kind of where you're at. I mean, I'm driving out there all the time, but you're out there every day.
So as far as,
Just tell them where we're at as far as the project goes, the stagger walls up, the building, that kind of stuff.
so all of the liners are in, and I haven't been out there since we started paving, it's been a couple weeks. The piping would be, there'd be some rocks going in, and the piping for the air is being laid in there, and working on the ductwork for the water to start flowing in, and once we get that stuff in place, then, and they're already bringing some rock in. But the rock will start going in, and, the last meeting with that we had with them, they were talking about needing, the wood chips maybe by the middle or towards the end of this month. So, once we get to that point, I don't, there might be some small things that they have to do, but I think it's coming along.
I mean, they're talking November, December, get this thing online, so
Yeah.
it's coming that fast now.
I think it'll be, since they got the liners in, that was, when we had that rain, that kind of stalled things for a little bit.
Yeah.
During our last construction meeting, he mentioned they're back on schedule,
Yeah.
if not even a little bit ahead.
The leak that was discovered, everything's, they put a finger in the dike. Okay.
So, yeah, we just need a motion to pay that then.
What's the amount?
$646,770.37.
Make a motion to pay, who's the contractor?
Site Works.
Siteworks in the amount of $646,773.37 to keep our balance up to date.
Sure, second.
Motion and second on the table to authorize payment number 6 for the Beresford wastewater treatment facility improvements to Site Works for a total of 600, where was it again?
Number 8.
Got it. $646,773.37. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Authorized payments. Next item on the agenda is a step pay increase for Mr. Tony Larvick, who did help with the community calendar.
Scott makes motion to step pay increase for Beresford telephone employee Tony Larvick from
$36.38 to $37.32, or 100% of the scale.
as the mayor stated, starting today,
9:20.
9/20.
Actually 37.48, because he's getting 16.
That's longevity pay?
Oh, which is
Longevity pay.
16% longevity pay. Does that sound right?
Typically, when people are on the scale, they haven't met their longevity, so Tony Larvick is a little unique with the longevity included.
He's worked for the city for quite a while.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and second on the table to authorize step pay increase for Beresford employee Tony Larvick from $36.38 to $37.48. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Part-time hire for bridges course maintenance.
Tom Diefendorf has submitted an application to assist us through the end of the year. Tom worked for us previously, back in the teens, I believe. So this would be his third year with us. $12.97 an hour is what his pay would be, and he's basically helping all until the end of the year. We've lost all of our other employees pretty much. One of the other ones is one of our other seasonal type guys isn't able to work as much because of some back issues. So, and he only works the hours that we need him.
I make the motion that we hire Tom Diefendorf, part-time golf course maintenance.
$12.97 an hour is what he would be at.
Second.
Motion and second on the table to hire Mr. Tom Diefendorf, former Beresford quarterback, as bridges course maintenance at $12.97 per hour. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Is he a state champion, Tom?
I was just gonna say.
7 points. In golf.
Should we put that in the minutes?
27 plays.
It's that picture. Where's the picture at? Of him in the fog. That's the
I
picture.
want out to be a
Yes,
person who wants to
yes,
see one out.
yes.
What is he punting?
Second basketball.
I think it's punting.
Hunting?
Is ours.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think he's scored that.
no, okay, no, maybe. I'll strike that from the record. Next item for discussion, letter from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers.
Just letting you guys know that we do have the notice from them as is required by the first quarter, I think September 1. They have to have it to us August 22nd. The date on it, we received it. They're ready to start negotiations. We have not heard anything from our health insurance providers, probably will not until October 1st. So it'll be hard to move forward with negotiations till we have that. We usually wait until that comes. I know we have been in contact with the Jensens to see if they've heard about it, but kind of at their mercy at this point in time.
Have we talked to Teamsters too, or are they?
I have not seen anything from them.
Okay.
Didn't you have to do it 2 years?
I thought we did 2 years.
I think we did 2 years, guys.
2-year agreement.
So the only thing that might affect them would be whatever we negotiate on the
Health insurance.
Yeah, they can provide health insurance.
Any formal action required to?
No.
Okay. All right, please heed the letter. Volunteer firefighter additions to the Beresford Fire Department.
Yeah, just for work comfort purposes, we've added 2 firemen. Jonathan Ferguson and Mike McCuban are being added to the department here in the last month. So we just note that in the minutes is all we have to do. So
Noted.
no motions needed, just note in the minutes.
Got it. Set special meeting for the date of September 23rd, 2024, public hearing, plat review, Bach Housing Development.
We're just trying to move this, our housing development through the planning stages and into the final plat stages. So planning and zoning did have their first meeting and it's pretty well attended. We had a bunch of people that lived real close to the project, came in, gave some good input, and was all considered. They have a second, or this final hearing for them will be at their regular meeting next Monday. They'll have that, and they'll make a recommendation to you guys to adopt, I would assume, and then you guys would have the final say as far as if the plat meets all the requirements and things that they've already walked through. So we'll be bringing that forward, and that'll be a special meeting just to, it's not a public hearing, so people can come in and talk about it. So
I want to talk to them about some of the questions.
yeah, I think some of the big questions are, we've got some areas that we got a few buildings that are going to be in the public right of way. And, Eli and I were talking a little bit just before the meeting about maybe an option that has come forward since our last meeting is maybe moving Grant Street to the north a little bit further and then having them dedicate a right of way there. If that would meet with Banner's approval, that might be something that we'll talk about. I'll talk with them tomorrow first of all, and then we'll see that at the next meeting maybe. If that might suffice for at least one of the people. We've got a couple other buildings on another street there that probably are going to come into play a little bit. And probably the biggest thing most of them are concerned about is what is it going to cost? Are we going to charge it for curb and gutter? In the past, we've always charged people for the curb and gutter put in, regardless of what type of project it has been. So they do have some skin in the game on this. I mean, most of them don't want to pay it because it's something that they haven't had, but they're also going to get a street that goes right in front of their home. That's paved. It's going to increase the value of their property considerably if that's the case. And there's usually, if people are hooking into the sewer system that have never had it before, there are going to be hookup fees that are more expensive than what a normal hookup fee is if you go to a property that's already got sewer mains and services hooked into it. So it won't be a $700 hookup fee. It might be quite a bit more than that. So Banner will help us kind of identify what those costs should be. But going forward, obviously, if you're buying a home in the Bach housing development, all those fees are already included in the lot. If you're looking into a system that was extended and you're taking advantage of that extension, you're going to have to pay a hookup fee because there was a lot of extra costs that went into providing that for you. So it makes your lot a lot more valuable when you're hooking into sanitary sewer and not a septic system. And quite frankly, we don't allow septic systems inside the city limits and sewer is available. So and sewer will now be available to all those locations up there.
So they're amenable now to moving Grant to the north side of that?
I don't know that. Eli had a quick meeting, I think, with one of the residents up there.
Okay.
That might be an option that might look at it. Originally, they did not want to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, we threw that at them before and they weren't in favor of that.
That doesn't take them out of the line of having a commitment for curb and gutter. It just
No.
doesn't take it through where those buildings are.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
It should be, we'd have to review some of the plant work, but, we don't have a final yet, so that's good to do it now rather than later.
I got a question. If you have approximately 50 lots, more or less, and that Keith signed and Jeff signed, that maybe if that's the map we're using, what's the width on the ordinance as of today for the street? 40 feet, 50 feet, 60 feet?
35 is what they're proposing here, Art. It's a non-collector street, it's more of just an access street. It's not your main thoroughfare.
Okay,
So
so
they
if you
don't have
move it
this
a little bit, it would still stay within the guidelines of 35 feet if the property owner next door would approve it.
Well, it's
Still 60-foot right of way.
It's a 60-foot right of way, yeah. 35-foot street, the minimum requirements are 32.
Okay, like the parkway next to it equals 60 feet. Is that what the deal you're talking about? If you had the
You got
street.
60 feet of right of way, you got 35 feet of paved.
Right.
So approximately 12 and a half feet on the backside of the curb.
That's where sidewalks are gonna go.
Side.
Right.
And our power, our lights up there, street lights.
One other question, is those houses attached to septic now, or are they hooked up to sewer and water?
Septic.
We're on septic right now, and I think there may be a potential for a short-term variance until such time that their septics would need to be converted.
Okay, just double check it,
Because Brian Lansdowne did bring
If
that.
a new house is built, Art, they're gonna have to put they're gonna have to hook into the sanitary sewer system.
Yeah, I'm not saying right away or blaming anybody, I'm just saying so we get all the facts out here.
Yep.
Thank you for your information.
Does that cost additional? Do we know what's it gonna cost us additional to move everything north?
No, we haven't talked, no, not at all. Just look at it before the meeting tonight, so I have no chance to look at it, yeah.
Looked like a zero sum for game for the city. Just whether they wanted it on a corner or through where the buildings are at.
No, I mean to have to move all our utilities
Oh, yeah.
up north a little ways and jog around.
Yeah.
I
Rather
don't
than,
think it's gonna really matter too much.
That won't affect, okay.
So,
That's okay.
well, it's a little bit lower, so I don't know if that's gonna be an issue as far as bringing more fill, stuff like that in there, for that.
Okay.
Storms, I don't know where storm drain, storm sewers are at, all that, so we'd have to look at some of that.
So the date that's been proposed for the special meeting for the next plat review, and then you said planning and zoning will run that next meeting, and then they'll tee us up for a subsequent meeting. That's the same night as the Beresford School District strategic planning session. They were looking to have city council involvement from 6:30 to 7:30. We could set that meeting at 5:30,
That'd be perfect.
and we could segue into,
Or 5:15 even earlier.
just in case.
Could everybody make an early meeting like that?
I have no problem. For you, I'll be there.
So we say 5:15 then?
Sir, I know you
Sarah.
got some travel
I don't
time.
work Mondays,
Oh,
so, for the most part,
What are you, Garfield?
so. That is the one day I can probably make it later.
all right.
5:15 then? We should have a motion set it.
Yeah.
Make a motion to move that, have that special meeting on September 23rd at 5:15 PM.
Shot second.
Motion second on the table to set special meeting date for September 23rd, 2024 at 5:15 PM for public hearing, plat review, housing development. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Meeting set. And subsidy drawdown request for the Beresford Cemetery Association.
Just need a motion on that one.
What you do for?
$1,500. $1,500.
Should I make a motion for the subsidy drawdown for Beresford Cemetery Association for $1,500?
Second.
Motion second on the table to authorize subsidy drawdown request for Beresford Cemetery Association. Cost $1,500. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Drawdown request is approved. Number 10, bid opening on the Bridges Patio Edition 2 PM September 5th.
If anyone's got time, stop in, we'll see what we do. I know we did have 3 our contractors at the pre-bid meeting, so We're hoping to get at least 2 for sure, if not 3 bids on it.
Are you doing that here?
It'll be right here. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to hear.
I'll be here.
No travel requests? Nope, nobody's going anywhere. Sir?
Beck, your motions, so we pay the bills.
Second.
The motion and the second on the table, pay the bills. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? We shall pay the bills. We'll go ahead and adjourn and enter, no.
Motion for executive session for legal.
I'll entertain a motion to enter into an executive session to discuss legal. We need a motion first.
He can't make the motion.
Well, I was just wondering, he's moving pretty quick there, almost like our, sorry, shall I make a motion to go into executive session for legal?
Second.
Motion and second on the table to enter into executive session for a legal discussion.
Have a great night, Jeff.
See ya. Don't forget.